favorite. I'm bliss, highly favored.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be rebooking John Cena's entire retirement tour, but he never turns heel. So, as far as Raw on Netflix, that stays the same. Royal Rumble, I would keep the same, except I'd have it come down to Logan Paul and Jey Uso instead of John Cena and Jey Uso. It was really cool because everybody was expecting John Cena to win, so when Jey Uso won, it was very shocking, but it didn't leave the fans happy. So I feel like if you have it come down to Logan and Jey, and Logan eliminates Cena, which I will come back to Logan eliminating Cena, and it comes down to Logan and Jey instead, everybody's going to be rooting for Jey Uso, and Jey Uso was already super over, so I think that's the way to go instead. Elimination Chamber, I'd have him lose and he stays face instead of winning and turning heel. And I'd actually have Seth Rollins win the Elimination Chamber. But now let's go to Raw, March 17th. On March 17th, this is John Cena's 4th appearance of the retirement tour. I'd have Cena start off the show. He cut a promo saying things like he can't keep up with talent of today. That's why he's retiring, stuff like that. And then I'd have CM Punk interrupt. He's also upset that he lost that Elimination Chamber. At the Elimination Chamber, I would have had it come down to Punk and Seth. I would have had Logan Paul get eliminated by Drew McIntyre, and then Logan Paul would knock out John Cena on his way out. And then Seth Rollins would capitalize off that, pin John Cena, it'd come down to Punk, Seth, and Drew. And eventually I'd have Seth win. However that is, doesn't matter if it comes down to Seth and Drew or Seth and Punk, I'd have it that way. Seth Rollins wins. Punk would come out. He tells John Cena that he's the greatest of all time, that he can keep up with talent today, and that if Logan Paul wasn't a scumbag and Seth Rollins was a fair competitor, that it would have came down to Punk and Cena, in which Seth Rollins would interrupt their promo. Seth would say that, he has a lot of respect for John Cena and that the Elimination Chamber is just every man for themselves. So that's why he did what he did, in which I'd have Logan Paul come out from behind and attack John Cena and CM Punk with the brass knuckles, knocking out Cena. Punk would try and help Cena, in which Seth Rollins would run down to the ring and stomp CM Punk. And then he'll super kick Logan Paul, point at the WrestleMania sign, and then leave. And then later in the night, we'll see a backstage segment with John Cena and CM Punk talking to Nick Aldis. Cena say he wants to get his hands on Paul. Punk will say he wants to get his hands at Seth. So, Adam Pearce will make it official for that main event. That'll be a tag team match. Seth Rollins and Logan Paul against CM Punk and John Cena, in which Logan Paul would pin John Cena for him and Seth Rollins to get the win. Raw can end with a brawl between the four of these guys. And that's pretty much it. Or John Cena will be knocked out and just Logan, Seth, and Punk are brawling to end the night. But I'd have Logan Paul pin John Cena. Maybe CM Punk accidentally hits him, and then Seth curb stomps him, and then Punk and Seth fight outside the ring, and then allow Logan Paul to use the brass knucks on top of Punk accidentally hit him, on top of Seth's stomp. Paul pins Cena. On Raw, March 24th, I tried to do it as realistically as possible. So if Logan Paul wasn't there at a show, then I didn't have him show up. He was here on the March 24th episode, so I'd have a segment with him and John Cena. Logan Paul could talk about how he's just going for what's most viral. John Cena is WWE's most popular superstar. And when he knocked him out of Chamber and eliminated him from the Rumble, it went viral, so he wants a match with Cena. Of course, Cena would accept it. Same thing, March 31st, Logan Paul was also there, so you can, kind of have a similar promo, get everything you want in there about Logan Paul wanting to go viral. Their Clash in Paris, you could take some elements of that feud that they had going into Clash in Paris and put that over here, but that's what I have. And then the match will be official on the 31st episode, that this will be the WrestleMania match for John Cena. Now, Logan Paul was not at the April 18th episode of SmackDown, but John Cena was. So you can have John Cena come out, talk about Logan Paul, saying, oh, Logan Paul's not here, but that doesn't mean I'm going to waste a date on my retirement tour. So he'll call out, he'll do an open challenge, call out whoever wants to answer. And I'd have United States champion LA Knight answer that open challenge. These guys never had a match, unfortunately, this year. So I think this was very needed. Of course, in 2023, John Cena gave LA Knight the Undisputed Championship match against Roman Reigns. He helped them beat The Miz. So they have a little bit of history. This could be a cool passing of the torch moment or a cool passing of the torch match. But the LA Knight would also defend his United States Championship because, Cena gave him that Undisputed Championship match in 2023. But unfortunately, the match would end in disqualification because of Jacob Fatu, who LA Knight is scheduled to fight the next night. So I'd have it like that. Keep it clean. Nobody takes a loss. Just have the match end in DQ with Jacob Fatu interfering. And then, of course, at WrestleMania 41 Sunday, these guys are both on the Sunday card. So the match would most likely take place on Sunday, most likely opening. It'd be Logan Paul versus John Cena. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. John Cena would obviously win. No need to give it to Paul. He already pinned Cena and eliminated him from the Rumble. Let John Cena get his win back. There's really no need to give the win to Paul. On Raw, April 21st, the first Raw after Mania, Cena would cut a promo that would get interrupted by Randy Orton. It's a respect thing. John Cena, Randy Orton, iconic rivals. Randy Orton just wants to fight Cena one last time before he retires at Backlash in his hometown. So the match will be made official. On SmackDown, April 25th, they'd both cut a promo. They were both on that show. That'll be interrupted by Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre saying they're, wasting his TV time on SmackDown. Or Drew McIntyre had, a lot of issues with Nick Aldis and, upper management on SmackDown. So Nick Aldis would come out, he'd tell Drew McIntyre to leave and show respect to the veterans. But Cena would tell Drew to stop and stay because he wants a tag team match. So him and Randy Orton would team up to take on Drew and a mystery opponent that night. And his mystery partner will be Logan Paul. Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul have teamed up plenty of times. They teamed up to face on Cena and Cody. They teamed up to face on Jelly Roll and Orton. So they've teamed up a few times. They teamed up at War Games too. So they have a little bit of history teaming up. I'd have John Cena pin Logan Paul to get the tag team win. I would just get the most of John Cena. Let him team up with Orton one last time. Let him face Orton one last time. Get the most out of his appearances, It just has to be a repetitive promo every week. Let him get a match in there. So I have him pin Logan Paul, to end that rivalry for good. SmackDown April 9th would be another promo between the two, a face-off, contract signing, whatever. And then, of course, Backlash, John Cena versus Orton. I'd have Cena win. I just think that's best to get Cena his wins over these guys. But during the Backlash post-show, I don't know if you guys remember, it was R-Truth who actually got attitude adjusted through a table. I'd have Drew McIntyre jump John Cena during the Backlash post-show to set up a match between them at Saturday Night's Main Event. You can do whatever you want between the lead-up. John Cena wasn't scheduled for any, appearances between Backlash and Saturday Night's Main Event. But, you can have Drew saying that he wants to match against Cena during the few dates between Backlash and Saturday Night's Main Event. He can go on Raw, attack some people, go on SmackDown, attack some people until he gets the match officially made, because Drew McIntyre, had a lot of trouble with management earlier on in the year, and he still does. Of course, you see on SmackDown, but yeah, Drew McIntyre versus John Cena at his main event, in which I'd have John Cena win. John Cena's next appearance after Saturday Night's Main Event will be May 30th, which was actually in the build-up to Money in the Bank. And there was a Money in the Bank qualifier match that night. It was Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade versus Jacob Fatu. Andrade ended up winning that. I'd have Cena take Andrade's spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match. You want to get the most out of Cena during his time run. Get him in his last Money in the Bank. Get him in his first War Games match. Let him fight all these people for the last time. Let him be in Elimination Chamber, Rumble, Money in the Bank, King of the Ring. Let him be in all this, big events for the last time ever. So I'd want him in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I'd have him qualify in this match by, pinning Jacob Fatu or Carmelo Hayes. Maybe he pins Fatu I'd have him pin Fatu after Solo accidentally, spikes him or something. That's what I'd do. So I'd have Cena win and qualify for Money in the Bank. On June 6th, I'd just have a segment with all the Money in the Bank competitors. I'd have it be John Cena, LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, Penta. I'd have CM Punk in there instead of El Grande Americano, and I'd have Braun Breaker in there instead of Seth Rollins. So that'd be the Money in the Bank field. And I'd actually have LA Knight win that Money in the Bank match. And this will be a better Money match in my opinion. It'd be a lot more unpredictable because you can have Cena win, you can have Knight, Solo, Breaker, Punk. All these guys have a good chance of winning except for Penta in my opinion, but it makes sense why Penta was in there. I think it'd be a great Money Bank match and I'd have LA Knight win that. Of course, Cena unfortunately fails to win Money in the Bank, so fast forward to Raw June 9th was a King of the Ring qualifier that date, and I'd have Cena enter that in his Fatal 4-Way against Penta, Dominic Mysterio, and Braun Breaker. I'd have him take Sami Zayn's spot, and I'd have him pin Penta to qualify for Money in the Bank. Dominic Mysterio is fresh off winning the Intercontinental Championship. Braun Breaker's an unstoppable force, so I feel like Penta makes the most sense for him to be pinned for this, for Cena to qualify. On SmackDown, June 13th, I'd have John Cena have a segment with Gunther. Gunther, who won the World Heavyweight Championship earlier on in the week, warning John Cena, if you win King of the Ring, you will lose at SummerSlam. Something like that. Just have a little segment with Gunther. On SmackDown, June 20th would be the semifinals of the King of the Ring tournament, and I'd have it be John Cena versus Carmelo Hayes. It was the Fatal 4-Way between LA Knight, Randy Orton, Carmelo Hayes, and Aleister Black. I'd have Carmelo Hayes roll up LA Knight to advance, and then now he'd face John Cena, and I will have John Cena win this match. To advance to the finals and face Cody Rhodes at King of the Ring, on June 27th, you can have a promo between these two, contract signing, face-to-face, whatever. At Night of Champions, I'd have John Cena beat Cody Rhodes to win the King of the Ring. And, you know, he can lift Cody's hand after the match, establish him as the next face of the company, raise his hand, whatever. Passing of the torch moment would happen here. Since John Cena isn't assigned to a specific brand, and it is his retirement tour, he'd get the choice to choose which world champion he wants to face at SummerSlam between Gunther or Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins would have won the Undisputed Championship at WrestleMania. I didn't clarify what would happen to Cody since he's not facing Cena. I would have had it been a Fatal 4-Way between Punk, Roman, Seth, and Cody, and I would have had Seth pin Cody or Roman after Paul Heyman turns on him. But yeah, Seth Rollins would still win at WrestleMania, but this time he'd win the Undisputed Universal Championship in a Fatal 4-Way, so he'd still be champion. Of course, Gunther beat Jey Uso on the June 9th edition of Raw, so he's World Heavyweight Champion now. And on SmackDown, July 18th, would be, you know, John Cena making his choice, who he wants to face at SummerSlam, and he'd choose Seth Rollins. So on the August 1st edition of SmackDown, it'd be John Cena versus Seth Rollins. John Cena, Seth Rollins contract signing before SummerSlam, and then at SummerSlam they'd have their match, and I'd have John Cena win. And SummerSlam is where John Cena captures number 17. He becomes the never seen 17. It's an iconic, glorious moment for John Cena in his career. There's confetti, pyro, everything. You see the trademark go off in the corner. But of course, if you remember what happened at SummerSlam, the return of Brock Lesnar. So Brock Lesnar comes down to the ring, kind of ruins the celebration moment of John Cena winning number 17. And he F5s John Cena gets F5'd by Brock Lesnar. So Brock Lesnar F5 Cena. He looks like he's about to walk out the ring until he gets back in, hits him with a suplex, hits him with another F5, and then he walks off, ruining John Cena's moment and his celebration. So he's laying down in the ring with the Undisputed Championship beside him. And then, of course, LA Knight takes advantage. He runs down to the ring. He cashes in his Money in the Bank contract. But if you know one thing about John Cena, he never gives up. So John Cena goes in there for about a 10-15 minute match because he's trying to stay in it. He doesn't want to lose the championship he just won, and he never gives up. So he's trying in there. Probably ends up being the longest cash-in of all time, probably like 15 minutes. I don't know the exact longest cash-in, but I feel like 15 minutes is pretty long for a cash-in. But it still doesn't work out in Cena's favor. LA Knight wins the Undisputed Universal Championship. Brock Lesnar ruins John Cena's moment, and LA Knight is the new Undisputed Universal Champion. John Cena became the Never Seen 17, but only for about 5 minutes. So on SmackDown, August 8th, John Cena comes out. We see a serious side of John Cena. Not the corny 2023, 2022 John Cena. No, this is a serious John Cena that we see. He comes out and he wants Brock Lesnar. But That's not what he gets. He gets The Miz. The Miz comes down, and he wants his match against Cena. He gets it. John Cena versus The Miz on August 8th of SmackDown. But it's quick. John Cena, it's light work for him. He pins The Miz in about 5-minute match. And later on in the night, backstage, we see, R-Truth. He said that, John Cena lost. So The Miz pushes him. He ambushes R-Truth with Carmelo Hayes. Of course, that was a thing during August, of course. So they're bullying R-Truth, which would lead to a tag team match the following week. Not the following week. August 22nd. That was John Cena's next appearance. So it'd be John Cena and R-Truth versus The Miz and Carmelo Hayes, which is right here. This would be the match for August 22nd. Of course, John Cena, he's standing up for R-Truth. R-Truth was upset that John Cena lost. That's why he got bullied and ambushed by The Miz and Carmelo Hayes. So John Cena's going to stand up for him. And John Cena and R-Truth would beat Carmelo Hayes and The Miz. Doesn't really matter who Cena pins. Maybe they do a double 5-knuckle shuffle and they both end up getting pinned, Miz and Melo. On the August 29th episode of SmackDown, Nick Aldis lets John Cena know that Brock Lesnar is not available for Clash in Paris, which would be his next appearance. So John Cena can go out there, call out whoever he wants, and that'll be the match for Clash in Paris. So John Cena does exactly that. He goes out on the August 29th episode of SmackDown, and it's very similar to the build to John Cena versus AJ Styles, kind of through social media. Like this one episode of SmackDown, and then the rest will be through social media until Clash in Paris. And it'll be Roman Reigns. That's who John Cena wants to face. Roman wasn't on this episode of SmackDown, so John Cena would call out Roman, saying that's the match he wants for Clash in Paris since Brock Lesnar's not available. And then Roman Reigns would answer through social media. He'll tag John Cena and accept it. And at Clash in Paris, we'll get the match. And Roman Reigns would win, of course. No need for John Cena to win this, really. Honestly, it doesn't matter who wins, but there's no need to give the loss to Roman. They want Roman to look strong all the time, so I'd have Roman Reigns win this. And then you can still do the Bronson Reed match later on at Crown Jewel between Roman and Bronson. SmackDown, September 5th, John Cena's last SmackDown. Keep everything exactly the same from how it was. If you don't remember, you can go back and watch it. But it was John Cena versus Sami Zayn and Brock Lesnar. Cause disqualification. So keep that exactly the same. One thing we can change, though, is the September 15th edition of Raw. John Cena didn't do anything. He just came out because they were in Boston, I believe. Said a few words about, his college, I think, and that he grew up in Boston, and that's it. Change that completely. Waste of a date, in my opinion. I'd say give me John Cena and CM Punk. CM Punk can interrupt the promo of the new World Heavyweight Champion after SummerSlam. Can interrupt Cena's promo saying that he's not going to let Cena retire until he faces him. And Punk would put his World Heavyweight Championship on the line. So right then there, Monday Night Raw, September 15th, to open the show, it's John Cena, it's CM Punk, and guess what? John Cena wins the World Heavyweight Championship. John Cena becomes the never-seen 18 and is the new World Heavyweight Champion after beating CM Punk. His next appearance is WrestlePalooza. It's John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is finally available for that date. Of course, the promo on the 15th September would be John Cena calling out Brock Lesnar until he is interrupted by CM Punk. And then the 5th, Brock Lesnar interrupted Sami versus John Cena. So a little bit of build up to this with limited Brock Lesnar appearances. 3 things that changed about this match. First up, it'd be for the World Heavyweight Championship. Second of all, it'd be a stipulation match. It'd be like not like a hardcore match, but Extreme Rules. Something different, definitely a stipulation match though. And then the third thing would be the outcome. I'd have John Cena beat Brock Lesnar, becoming Super Cena, I guess, but he beats Brock Lesnar at WrestlePalooza. And then it's straight to Crown Jewel, so keep the build exactly the same for this and the match exactly the same. John Cena would win and retain. Raw, November 10th, I have John Cena have an open challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship, in which Joe Hendry would answer the open challenge for it, and John Cena would beat Joe Hendry. On the November 17th edition, I'd have, this is his last Raw, I'd have Dominic Mysterio interrupt John Cena. No open challenge, just a promo from Cena, but Dominic Mysterio interrupts, and we get champion versus champion, but John Cena is the only one willing to put his title on the line. Dominic doesn't put his Intercontinental Championship on the line, and John Cena retains the World Heavyweight Championship. But later on in the night is when things get interesting. Of course, this is when the War Games match got announced, and Brock Lesnar came out, Roman Reigns came out. So I'd have John Cena be the last man for the babyface team instead of Jimmy Uso. I know Jimmy Uso wasn't the last man, but I'd have only Jey Uso join. Maybe Jimmy Uso fakes an injury angle or something. Braun Breaker, attacks Jimmy and he fakes an injury. So that way John Cena can be in the War Games match. So it'll be John Cena, CM Punk, Jey Uso, Roman Reigns, and Cody Rhodes versus The Vision, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar. Of course, John Cena has history with Brock Lesnar, so that makes sense. He has history with Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre as well. And then, he's friends with Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. So it all checks out. And I have John Cena enter the War Games match. And I keep War Games exactly the same. Braun Breaker pins CM Punk. Keep that exactly the same. But his next appearance after that is his final match. And he's going in as World Heavyweight Champion. He announces that, for his last match, he will be defending his World Heavyweight Championship. The last time his now tournament takes place. But I just changed who wins it. I'd have Braun Breaker win the last time his now tournament. He already wants the World Heavyweight Championship, and I'm pretty sure he's going to win it at January 5th episode of Raw. If he doesn't, then Seth Rollins is probably returning. So look forward to that January 5th episode of Raw. But I have this be John Cena's last match instead of Gunther. I feel like it makes more sense. John Cena would probably have a better match. I love the Gunther match. Let me just say that. I really like this. So if you would say that stays the same, I'm fine with that. But Braun Breaker versus John Cena, that's what I would rather see, because Braun Breaker has a lot of momentum already, going into that next main event, and he already wants the World Heavyweight Championship. So I think this is perfect. But I don't know who would win, because you can have John Cena win and retire with the World Heavyweight Championship, number 18, never seen 18, kind of humble Braun Breaker, like it's not your time yet, relax, and then he vacate the World Heavyweight Championship and have a tournament. Maybe Braun Breaker wins the tournament. But, kind of humble John Cena, like, I'm still the veteran, I'm still the GOAT, and retire winning. That'd be pretty cool, and then cut a promo. Or you can have Braun Breaker brutalize John Cena, spear after spear after spear, and win the World Heavyweight Championship right then and there, because I'm pretty sure he's going to win it at January 5th anyway, so you can have him win it now, it's fine. But yeah, I don't know. So that's where I leave it up to you guys. I booked everything else except for that, the result of this match, so I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Do you like option A, John Cena retains and retires with the World Heavyweight Championship? Or option B, John Cena retires on laying flat on his back and Braun Breaker wins the World Heavyweight Championship? So let me know that in the comments down below. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video.
I'm bliss, highly favored. I'm bliss, highly favored.